Hello, Springy back in portrait for the opening. I was going to show you my latest bass rig, but it didn't work. So I'll show you my latest bass rig that didn't go as planned. I'll explain first. The idea was I was fed up with running my bass through the hi-fi indoors. Um, Sounds surprisingly good in there for using at home. It was fine. In fact, it was sounding too hi-fi. Strangely enough, running it through a hi-fi. So I started thinking about um, splitting my signal, running it through 2 amps again, but much smaller than I've had in the past. And so I went up to Sam's, my partner in crime of music, because we've got a bunch of gear in his loft. So I dragged out a load of gear out of his loft, brought it down here to my garage, set it all up, and it completely didn't work, but it should have done. The equipment is fine and works as it should do, but the surroundings killed it. So I will show you now. So that's what I made up, this little stack of stuff. So 2x10 bass speakers, Laney. It's a 120 watt RMS, a 1x12 full range speaker cabinet, which is 120 watts RMS at 8 ohms and at 8 ohms. And I put them on a multimeter. That come out 9.2 ohms. That come out 6.8 ohms. So I knew they were near enough. That particular cabinet I built myself years ago, and I forgot how big it was and how heavy it was. So then we got, I thought, what can I use for an amp for the bass side of things? Oh yeah, we've got a PA head. So that's 150 watt PA head, 75 watts per side, RMS. So I've got one side going into there, one side going into there. Run the bass signal into there. And then the other half of the bass signal, which is my top end stuff for the growly, guitar-y sounds, my little Laney Linebacker 30 watt amp, which is surprisingly loud for a 30 watt solid state transistor little practice amp. You can actually use this on, in fact, I have used this on stage before as a monitor with the guitarist over the other side of the stage. And I've had this on top of my bass stack in a full gig, and I can hear what he's doing perfectly. So anyway, so I would run normally this side of things with all the treble up and all the bass off, and that side of things with all the bass up mostly and all the treble off. So you get big fat round woolly bass on that end and gnarly distorted trebly guitar type sound out of that end. Ignore where the controls are at the moment because I've actually been playing music for it just to test that it was all right. So I set it all up, plugged in my equipment, my bass with all my pedals and all my effects, and set up all the sounds. And basically, I couldn't get the volume low enough not to shake everything in the garage. Literally all these toolboxes, this tool, all this up here, this cupboard, everything in the cupboard, this lot, the ladders, literally the slightest note on the bass, the whole garage would shake. And that's with this, the master volume, if you can see that, it's below 1. And the gain on the, I was only using one channel, but the gain on 2. So that was that. It sounds terrible. It sounds fine if you stick all this on its own out there, where there's nothing to shake. It sounds great, but in here it sounds crap. Right, let's turn you around. So just to test that all the amps were okay, I just linked it up to the little hi-fi above it, sent the signal through the PA bit, and then line out of the PA into the small amp, EQ'd it all up. It sounded great, sounded fine, sounded like you would hear like at a disco at someone's wedding or birthday party. And I'll crank the bass right up on it, just like you would hear at a birthday party or a disco. And it sounds awesome, and nothing in the room rattles. As soon as you plug a bass guitar in, the frequencies just earthquake the room. So that's very interesting. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do now. I think I'll probably drag all that lot indoors into the house, set it up in there. I normally get a little bit of shakeage in the house when I'm running a proper bass amp. There's a little bit, but in here it was ridiculous. So that was my total fail. Now I've got a wall 5.5 foot high of amplifiers in my garage that all I can do is play music through, but I don't need to because I've got a nice hi-fi in the garage anyway. So there you go. Latest bass rig, complete fail. Peace and love. I've been Springy. See you later.